That was a bend. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. So I have a
do the microphone thing.
Yeah.
Get it right in.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
It's a little uncomfy.
Yeah, you're good.
Just a tad. So I have like I don't think I'll be able to get to it all at all. And again, thank you for doing this. This has been fantastic that you give people the opportunity to do this, and thank you for Travis. So the first thing I guess is to piggyback off of the few conversations you just had. I don't want to keep going and beating a dead horse, but because that's kind of how it's probably going to feel. But I feel like you have this very opinionated, polarized view of, I'd say, the extreme right. And I think you group the extreme right in with kind of the right, because there's a lot of, at least from my conversation circles, and they're not very active online, and I think maybe what you view and what you see is the active right community that's online, which is absolutely unhinged, and it's absolutely crazy. But I think there is also a lot of people out there that voted for Trump that see a lot of the things that he's done, and they do not speak up as much as they should, and I think that they should. But the few conversations that I've had with people that did vote for him, I'm the one included, to where it's, okay, well, the tariffs are a bit crazy, let's dial back, or, okay, well, these maybe the deportations is another thing, along with the fact of the pardoning of the January 6ers. And you also said something earlier about the Jan 6ers, to where you said that nobody on the right spoke up. Are you saying like the right influencers, or are you just saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Because I'm like, there were people that spoke up, but it's just not anybody who's in the prevalent media, which is, again, the issue. So yeah, that's my big issue. But I guess my first question.
You know the differences between somebody who adamantly votes for Trump and somebody who reluctantly votes for Trump?
What?
There's none.
I
think that's the issue. Is there's like, I'll find a lot of these people who are like, oh, I don't know, I don't fully support it. Like, at the end of the day, a vote is a vote. It all gets counted up the same way. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter if he still has support. Like, Donald Trump is an extremely unhinged, like, quasi-fascist, like, just an unbelievable person. And I can't imagine what it would be like to even reluctantly vote for somebody like that. Like, something is so broken, I think, with the concept of America right now, if that's the case. But so I don't know, when people are like, well, it's not like the most extremist supporters of this guy who is extorting law firms all over the country and openly bragging about it, is installing tariffs on islands that are only inhabited by penguins, is deporting people without due process gleefully in the middle of the night, has hired an anti-vaxxer as the head of the agency. Like, I mean, there's like a billion different things you're going to say. And it's like, well, yeah, but Kamala was woke.
Well, I don't think that's the only issue. I think there was a lot of people's issue, to where the issue with Kamala that at least I heard was that there wasn't like a consensus around her to put her as the primary. There was not a primary for her. She just kind of was the front runner, just suddenly.
Yeah, but nobody believes that. Nobody actually cared about that.
I don't know about nobody. I think
they didn't. Because if they did, because find me any of these people, and I want to see how much they were tweeting about the fact that Donald Trump refused to debate any of the other primary challengers.
Well, that's again where my issue comes in, where they weren't active online. They just had an opinion, and they, so that's
just showing up anywhere in the media, anywhere. Then I mean,
that's I agree with you there, where they need to make their voice heard, and they need to actively be active online,
or anywhere. It doesn't have to be online. It could be in the media. It could be a politician.
Well, exactly. Yeah, but
why can't you? But you know why you can't do that, though, right? It's because the Trumples will destroy you.
I don't. Well, yeah, they'll try. Yeah, I agree with that. I couldn't say that they'll destroy you, because a lot of them are delusional.
So I mean, that you won't have a political career anymore. You'll be gone, right? Trump will primary you. You'll get kicked out of office. Like, they will want to vote for you, and
especially if you're a politician. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there are no, like, the never Trump Republicans are just retirees.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. A lot of the people that I know still think that he won the 2020 election, which I don't quite understand. But so I guess
that's like fucking insane, right?
Yes. No, I agree, 100%. But
but like, you're just like casually dropping what would be the most unbelievable conspiracy in the history of all of governments across the planet for all of time.
I agree.
That election was rigged.
Yeah, but there's also people on the left that I've also seen in my Facebook, groups, or even just Facebook friends that I have, that are just now saying that the 2024 election must have been rigged, because there's no way Trump should have won.
Yeah, but do you know who's not saying that? Kamala Harris.
I agree.
Democratic leadership.
No, I agree.
And you know who is saying it on the right side? Donald Trump.
I know, I agree.
So it's not, yeah, it's like a different world. And every single I don't know if, I think there was one cabinet person who acknowledged that question and said that Donald Trump had lost the 2020 election.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think everybody else talked around it.
They did, yeah, including J.D. Vance.
That's kind of crazy that the world's leadership in democracy currently has a president that doesn't believe in the outcome of the last election he lost.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it's a big problem too that I would say most MAGA Republicans are the same way. But I do have another question that's like not relating to any of this. I wanted to know your opinion on, and I think I know it, but your opinion on the deportation of what's his name? Kilmar, I believe.
I haven't dug as much into the legal stuff on that. I think ideologically I'm opposed to it. I think legally I'm opposed to it. But it gets into weird kind of like foreign policy territory, or how much you want to dig into that?
I was digging through the legal process of everything that was going on with him, so I could just go very briefly into it.
So I guess a quick thing. The reason why I have an issue with it is traditionally, prior to maybe Al-Qaeda, I guess, when we thought of like terrorist organizations, you think of these like small groups that are non-state actors typically. Mm-hmm. It starts to get really weird when a terrorist organization also happens to be like the government or administrator to a region. Now for ISIS, it was kind of different because they took over parts of countries that were still controlled by other people. But like, would you say like the Taliban, would you consider that like a terrorist group? I actually don't know if the U.S. is, I don't think they do. But like, but we would think of them as kind of a terrorist group, but it's also like they're the government in Afghanistan, right? And so like, let's say that you want to protest, and you want to support for Hamas. I mean, like, Hamas is the government of the Gaza Strip. Mm-hmm. So are we basically just saying for every single person here with a green card or a visa, you can no longer protest on support of or on behalf of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip because it's related to Hamas, which is
Well, you're thinking of Khalil.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say?
I was talking about Kilmar.
Oh fuck, Kilmar. Wait, is Kilmar Abrego Garcia?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I thought you said
no. You're okay. Yeah, they're.
For the Abrego Garcia one, that seems like it was really bad. I'm opposed to that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what because he was here with I believe he was charged in 2019, and then he was allowed to stay, and then without due process, which is my biggest issue, was he was just shipped off. Yeah. So, yeah. I'll have to pull out my phone for 1 second because all of them.
Well, I'm just kind of curious because we went over a few things that seem to be deeply troubling to me. I would say like any one of these things are an insanely troubling thing. You said you voted for Trump. I'm guessing this last election.
Yes.
What would you have possibly been afraid of from Kamala that you think like supersedes any of the stuff or the totality of stuff that's happened so far with Trump?
Well, honestly, to me, my biggest reason for not voting for Kamala, was to the exact reason that I stated earlier, and then I heard a lot of these.
Wait, what was the exact reason earlier?
The exact reason was that there was no primary for her, and the whole reason
why would that have to do with whether or not you thought she would have been a better candidate?
Because it wasn't really that. It was more so the fact that I heard a lot of what are the problems, or I guess not problems, worries about Joe Biden from the right when he was running, that he would, ban guns or about like a lot of crazy things. And then I heard a lot of crazy things about Donald Trump. And I just put them up against each other. And I'm like, well, these things could come true or we might do okay.
Okay, but I'm like curious, if you look at the record, so Trump banned bump stocks.
Yeah.
Biden didn't take our guns.
Yes.
So I feel like it's 1 point for Biden.
Yes.
What was another issue that we were worried about between Biden and Trump? Biden got the infrastructure bill passed. Trump wanted to do that and wasn't able to. Foreign policy-wise, I mean, we were involved arguably with less stuff. There was the Ukraine stuff and there was the Gaza stuff. But we exited Afghanistan, even if it was sloppy. We exited Afghanistan. We weren't involved in the Yemen stuff anymore. We weren't involved in anything in Syria, basically. I'm just curious, like, what was the thing? If you look at the 4 years of each, where do we give Trump points on? Where we're like, oh, I would rather have 4 more years of Trump than 4 more years of a Biden-esque.
Well, because I think I was going to say that's kind of a hard question. It's not really. because a lot of things that people give Trump credit for, he kind of walked into from the previous administration. So that's where I'm like, I can't really give him the credit for those things, that because Obama should be given credit for those things. So, you know, at the same time, people that said the same thing about Biden, which I don't really agree on. So again, that's where me casting a last minute vote, because that's basically what it was. I was just a very undecided voter. I would like to have a third party in, but again,
I'm still trying to figure out what was it about Trump where you're like, this guy's going to be the better one than Kamala. Like, what one issue? It
wasn't really that. It was more so just that I weighed the negatives of both, and I'm like, I don't know what could be correct.
What were the negatives that you weighed for Kamala?
Well, again, the unrealized capital gains, which you said, again, which I agree with you.
Happen, right?
No, I agree with you. That would never happen.
Okay.
But that's where there were things with Trump where I did not at all anticipate that he would have this gigantic MAGA base behind him. I thought, okay, well, there's got to be someone who will hold him accountable.
Didn't he literally say that, though, coming in? Wasn't he saying, like, we saw J.D. Vance saying he would have supported him on January 20th. He would have voted for him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We saw that he was trying to find people who were loyalists to him the whole time. You saw him try to fire everybody in the final weeks of his presidency last time.
Mm-hmm.
Did we just expect that he was going to fail at everything again, I guess?
I guess fail at that, yes. Not fail at everything, but fail at bringing all loyalists in, and maybe it would be a little evened off. Was at least my hope. Yeah, but it's just
seems crazy to me that, like, we could have either voted for Kamala, and our biggest worry was an unrealized capital gains tax, which probably would have never happened, and I'm just making an assumption here, but I'm guessing you don't have hundreds of millions of dollars in unrealized.
Oh, no, not at all. It was just, no.
So
I would love that, yeah.
So there was that, and then for Donald Trump, it was like, there's the potential for all of this absolutely horrible, atrocious stuff to happen, but I don't think he'll pick the right people to make that happen. Like, I feel like if I was just looking at both of these candidates without knowing anything about America or elections or whatever, and somebody's like, well, on this side, you got a candidate who might do maybe a bad thing, but probably not. And then this other guy, he could actually be Hitler 2.0, but he probably won't be because you'll have people around him that'll stop him from doing that. This seems like an easy choice. So I'm trying to figure out what is driving us away from one or towards the other.
It's mainly just, I guess, the driving factor was just the hope behind it. So they're just the hope of that wouldn't happen.
Well, no, but what would happen? It was the hope that he would just show up and die, or what is like the hope?
No.
What are we hoping that would happen?
No. I guess what I was hoping what would happen was the economy would continue to build in a better way. Not that we would
continue
because it was building.
Yeah, under Biden.
Yes, it was. I agree with that.
So why wouldn't we choose a guy that was building it? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Because there were certain things that that Trump ran on that I agreed on, like deportation. I agreed on that, not how extreme that he's putting it out at all. But I agreed on, okay, yeah, which again, it's not like Biden didn't deport anybody. Biden was actively deporting people. But again, I would like to end one of my questions kind of goes into this was I would like to end the cash and release at some point. I don't know how that would even work or happen or what we would put in place of that because it would have to be something.
Sure.
But
okay, like here's something that bothers me. So you say you don't even know how that would work. The reason why you don't is because nobody actually talks about any of it.
No, I
talk about like getting rid of things or like, destroying our immigration policy or whatever. It's like, well, what are we going to replace it with? Like, what's an actual solution? Well, I think that's an issue is that like there was a border bill. For whatever reason, Republicans decided they didn't like it, even though it was a Republican bill for helping border stuff that Trump didn't want passed at the end of Biden's term. Well, now are we past 100 days yet for this term? We still have no legislation relating to the wall at all. Mm-hmm. Nothing related to the border, nothing related to asylum. Like, really, we have nothing. There's no legislation at all, I guess. So, like, what happened? Do we not care about that, or?
It's not. I guess yeah, because it's like, I mean, not me, but Trump, yes, and that's again where one of my biggest issues comes in. Is that
well, but then I'm also trying to figure out this too because this is so hard. So people get mad at me, and this sounds mean, and I don't mean to sound mean, but like sometimes I feel like people don't have the real problem. They just talk about things that they think they have problems with because the media's told them they have problems with. Okay, now I don't know. I'll be honest. Okay, because the only thing I know about Michigan is you guys cheated in every football game. Okay, against Nebraska. All right, fuck Michigan and Alabama. The thing I'm perplexed by is that two things that you're voting for. Are voting against you're voting against unrealized capital gains tax, which I'm guessing you don't have millions of, and then you're voting against border illegal immigrant stuff? Is Michigan a popular destination for a ton of?
Yeah. No.
Actually, it seems like a far way to try. I'm like, well, what is actually going on here? Now, if you would have told me, I think that, I think we could have expanded our Great Lakes by taking over, fucking Toronto or something. Okay, well, I kind of get it. You're closer here. We're closer to the Canadian border. Makes sense.
No. Little dictatorship.
Yeah, sorry. And then, I think you might go. But so, can you see from my side how like that's like really confusing to me as I'm trying to figure out what do we vote? Because like everything you've described so far, I could kind of get if you were like, so I just didn't vote. I stayed home and I was like, fuck it. But you didn't. You were driven to the polls to go and vote for Trump. And was it really illegal immigration and unrealized capital gains when you were at the polling place? You were just like these fucking.
Well, no, because it was mainly that I was undecided up until election day, and even on election day, I was still undecided. It wasn't something that I was like, okay, I'm going to vote for Trump. Most of my friends, I told them running up to the election, there's no way I'm voting for Trump. But then I was trying to see who would be in place for Biden. I didn't want to vote for Biden. I wanted to vote for somebody else who I thought was more coherent at the time than Biden. And that's what I was hoping for. And I saw Kamala get put up. And I'm like, okay, but I don't like the way she was put up. On top of that, she's running off of a lot of things that kind of Biden ran off of. And I just kind of feel like it's going to be a copy and paste. And I would like somebody to have more of a, not that Trump didn't do that from his first term to his second term, but it's more so of I was still undecided at the polling. So I wrote at this point, I would say that I slightly regret it. But yeah, I voted for Trump. And that there was a lot of things that I went into with that. And I was like, okay, well, hopefully the best outcome comes from this. And that's, if anything, I'm not in control of what happens. So I would like for the best outcome to come